All right, let's take a look at another sign. I saw this sign actually when I was waiting at the platform, ready to get on the subway at Seoul Station. This first word here says irosan. In this case, whenever you're talking about these things that are called hosan, you want to use the Chinese versions of the Korean word. So you'd have to say irosan or iosan or samosan or sahosan. And what each of those refers to is the number of the line for the subway system in Seoul. So there's line 1, there's line 2, there's line 3. It goes all the way up to line 9, and there's a whole bunch of other hosons, I guess you would call them, or other lines. Like there's the Ansan or the Suin line or the Incheon line. There's all these other additional lines. But anyways, the first 9 were just called line number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And this is talking about line 1 of the subway. Line 1. In this word, you see it a lot in signs to mean in addition to, or in this case, you can just think it as and. Now here, well, actually, this is another line, and it actually isn't, this hosan isn't used in this particular case. The airport railroad has this name in Korean. It's a road that starts at Seoul Station and it goes to Incheon International Airport. It stops in a few places along the way. But gonghang, pretty easy word that you probably learned before. It means airport. Now, as a beginner, you probably haven't learned this word here, 철도. It just means railroad, as I said earlier. This is the airport railroad. I want to indicate why this means railroad, and I want to explain this using Hanja, but it is very difficult Hanja, so I didn't want to embarrass myself and try to replicate this with my own handwriting. This first character here, if you know Chinese, or I guess if you know the complex Chinese, the non-simplified Chinese, this actually, this is the one, so this whole thing is actually 철도. And 철 actually refers to iron. And do refers to some sort of road. And if you imagine it, I'm assuming this is what it's trying to describe, is that the railroads, like it's a big line of iron. And that's why this 철도 actually refers to sort of a railroad, because that's actually what a railroad is. It's sort of this big line or big road of iron. This next word here, I'll write the base form of this word. It's just 가다타다, and that means to transfer. And not really transferring money or anything like that, but specifically transferring on a bus or on a subway. And the reason why it means that, karda actually means to sort of change, karda, and tada means to get on or to take a bus or to take a subway. And really, they're sort of merging these two verbs to form karatada, which refers to changing the thing that you're writing. And again, this is, if you put these two verbs together, you can actually get karatada, which means to transfer. She is added after it, and this just adds formality to the person who's doing the action. And in this case, the person who's doing the action is the public. And whenever the government wants to talk about the general public and stuff like that, they want to use the formal she at the end. So it's karatashi, not just karatada. Now, what's happening here is this karatada is actually describing this noun, and it's actually describing it in the future tense using this. This is added to it. This letter is added to it here, and that allows me to describe this upcoming noun in the future tense. You might be wondering, well, how can I describe a noun using all of this? All of this stuff here is actually describing this noun. And as I said, it's describing it in the future tense. And you might be saying, well, how can you possibly describe a noun with all of this in the future tense? Well, in English, what this would translate to is, sunggek, let me just mention, sunggek means passengers. Passenger or passengers. And it says, the passengers who will be, future tense, the passengers who will be transferring to the airport railroad or in addition to line 1, and then this thing down here is going to tell us what those people, the people who are going to be transferring to the airport railroad or line 1, what they will need to do. Okay, so we have basically the subject of our sentence is the passengers who are going to be transferring to the airport railroad or to line 1. Now what do they need to do? Well, this verb here, the base form of this word is just 올라가다. And that means to go up. And actually, I took this picture. This is sort of hanging down from a staircase. Down here would be the bottom of the staircase. I was sort of standing here when I took the picture, and this is the bottom of the staircase. And it was, going up the stairs like this, and this was sort of the end of the stairs up here. And this was sort of hanging, and like this thing, you could imagine some really tall people might hit their head on this as they're going up the stairs. So 올라가다 means to go up. To go up. And this G 말다 is added to it. So what's happening is G 말다 is added to it, and that just means it's used in this situation to say don't do. Don't do. Well, and specifically, what am I not doing? Well, I'm not, it's telling me the government or whoever works at this subway station or whoever wants to tell me this information is telling me to not do this particular action. Or in other words, it's telling me to not go up. And again, because these are stairs, so it's telling us don't go up these stairs. Again, we see this she added, so she is added to 말다, and that just, because there's an irregular for 말다, this actually gets eliminated. So, and you add it to the stem directly, so it becomes 올라가지 마시. But it's just, I want you to know that originally this is the verb 말다, but again, that's an irregular, so that gets eliminated. If you don't know this irregular, I introduced it for the first time in lesson 7. Now, ko is actually this whole 마시고, or again, I could just say 말고. But in this case, it's ko, or sorry, in this case, it's 마시고, but it could be 말고. But again, we're using she because it's a more formal situation. This is very commonly used to say, don't do this, but instead do this. For example, you could say, don't eat a lot, just eat, just eat the right amount. And you would, in that case, you'd say, 많이, which means a lot or many, 먹, and that means to eat. And then this is the 지 말다, which I'll show you, 많이 먹지 말고, ... This is basically just saying, don't do this thing, don't do this particular action, but do the following thing. So we know it's saying don't go up, but instead do this. And what this is saying is, well, D means behind. 쪽 means direction. And 계단, so it's talking about something behind us in this situation. 계단 means stairs. I have this to indicate that this is going to be the object, and there actually is no verb here, but this is the noun form of a verb. And I've been mentioning in very recent sign videos that I've been making that you see a lot of nouns here, and signs love to use nouns just because it's sort of more direct and to the point. But the verb here, 이용하다, means to use. But just the noun form of this, just 이용, would just be usage, or whatever the noun form of to use would be. You could just turn this into a verb and say 이용하세요. That would be a very, very common way to finish the sign. But for whatever particular reason, people tend to like to use nouns on signs. And I don't know why, there's a verb here and there's a verb here, but for some reason they want to end this sentence with a noun. And to me, it would make perfect sense to just end it with a verb like this. But for whatever reason, they wanted to just end it with a noun. So what this is saying is, don't go up here, or don't go up. Instead, you want to do this thing. And what this thing is, the thing that you should be doing is use the stairs behind you. So what this whole sign is saying is, the people who are those who will be transferring to the airport railroad or to line 1, don't go up here. Instead, you should be using the stairs behind you. Well, that was fun. I hope you learned a lot. Like our sign videos? You can see all of our Korean sign explanation videos by clicking the link here. We also have a ton of videos showing various aspects of Korean culture, tourist areas, cuisine, and everyday life. You can go there by clicking this link here. You can also subscribe to our channel by clicking this button.